Hey guys, Tarke here, and I've prepared a pretty massive list of things that I feel about Heist, both good, bad, stuff that should change, stuff that I'd be happy if they change but they don't have to change, and things that I don't want to see change about the League. Now, before I get into that, I'm quickly just showing you how much of the League I've played. This was my first character, I re-rolled because of a bug. This is my second character, I re-rolled because of a bug with the skills. This character, I spent multiple hours just testing the new Heist mechanic. My third character, I just hit maps, and I basically spent about an hour doing Heist every other act. For context on just how much heisting I've done no map level heists, yet if you look at the level of my rogues from all the other content creators I've seen showing off how their rogues work, my rogues are substantially higher levels than nearly everyone except for people like Grimro who've been going crazy blasting. And keep in mind, rogues gain way more XP in maps than they do while leveling. So my cast is 3.22, my Nels is 2.2, my Huck is nearly 3 across the board, which is capped out. My Tibbs is 3.3, my Nen is 1.2, my Talina is 3.22, which these two are caps, and my Isla is 3.3. So I've done like a lot. I've done about 5 grand heists in total, and I've burned through hundreds of raw contracts. The way I've done that, I've been spam buying contracts off the vendor every time I level up, buying again. So with that all done, let's get into my thoughts on the League. I'll just be talking and sitting in this little place for some nice atmosphere. So, I'll start with the things I love, and then I'll get into my complaints later. Things I really love and enjoy about the League, and I, overall, am incredibly happy with this League. So, the package of Heist is spot on. Everything from the visuals, lore, music, and even the small details, such as having to use a marker to access the zone, and how after you complete a heist, Ida will scorch the exit behind you to stop would-be pursuers. Every single rogue exists for a reason, they all feel like they serve a purpose, and they all have distinct characters. Nick, or anyone else who worked on the story from this League at GG, if this gets back to you, you did an amazing job. Even the people who hate this League have to agree, the characters and everything are perfect. They're so good. If this is the direction of things to come for PoE2, I am totally on board. Really love that aspect of it. Next up, the balance of careful planning, slower play, considering each of my loot options, frantic racing around, hectic battles, and light follower management that feels meaningful but not tedious or clunky. I feel like this League does a very good job of hitting all the different play options. Usually with Leagues, we either get stuff which is super slow and all the zoomers hate it, or we get stuff which is super zoom and is super punishing for different builds. This League has a really nice balance of both levels of gameplay. Yes, to be fully optimal, you want to race through everything, but you can go slow, you can go fast. There are elements of both. The rogue management in terms of managing their inventories, their levels, all of that stuff, how you select which ones, which missions, really good. And those are all things I had serious concerns about, and they actually all really surprised me, and I'm really happy with the current setup. The levels of reward so far. Keep in mind, I play SSF. The League seems to have a really good balance in terms of unique drops, currency, past League access, in particular cost jewels. I've got a lot of cost jewels from just spamming these things. High-specific rewards from replica uniques and alternate gems. While things shouldn't be balanced around SSF, this is a very SSF-friendly League. Yes, in a trade League where many of these things will only be worth an ALC, it might feel whatever, but just saying as is, Leagues like SSF, super rewarding League. And then, as I mentioned, the ability to go infinite and spam buyout contracts from the vendor while leveling and chain hours of heist back-to-back. It's made what should have been a very bad League start for me, having 2 bugged builds, actually really enjoyable and one of my most enjoyable League starts for quite a while. I really like the ability to say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to stop doing the campaign, I'm just going to do heist for a couple of hours, and it feels good. Now, it does feel a little bit weird to randomly realize you're like 15 levels plus ahead of the act you're in, but I really like this system, and I hope this is something which stays around long term, and this could be a way to make leveling more interesting. People are bored of the current leveling system. Right, now for problems and things that, in my opinion, should change in some capacity. I will include some of these which are bugs, but I'll mostly focus on core mechanical stuff. So, slash body blocking. Now, GG has already acknowledged this as a bug, and it will be fixed, but I had to include it in this list, otherwise people have shouted at me for not including it. The Heist Locker not storing green story missions. So if you didn't know, there's the Heist Locker, which is here, you can also have it in your map device. It stores your contracts, it stores your grand heists. You will get green contracts, which are like mission-specific story stuff. You cannot store those here, which really sucks. It's also kind of annoying getting access to loads of rogue loot, which has like level 4 or level 5 equip requirements, which you cannot store or here, and you have to store them all in your stash, because it takes quite a long time to get your rogues up to the high enough level to equip all of the gear. Also, and this might be a bug, but I'll mention it here, when I ran my first Grand Heist on my first character, I got to pick between one of a few trinkets, and I unlocked the trinket slot. I'm now on this character, and having run 4 Grand Heists on this character, I still haven't unlocked the trinket slot, and I cannot equip the trinket I got from my previous character. I don't know if this is bad RNG or whatever, but I'm mentioning it. Alright, next up, portals. When you start a contract, what will happen a lot of the time, instead of the portal being behind you, the portal will appear in front of you. It's incredibly easy to absentmindedly double-click the portal, and then you brick the mission, and you brick all the markers you paid to open it. This feels really bad. If you haven't entered the main area, you should be able to leave and enter the heist as many times as you want. If you want to say once you've entered it, fine. But either make sure the portal always spawns at the back, and if it's some kind of bug which is stopping the portal from spawning correctly, just remove that limitation that you can't re-enter, because it feels really bad bricking missions that way. Alert system. Right, now the alert system is the main point of contention for a lot of people, and I just want to say this. So, I've spoken to Grimro, who's min-maxing the system in softcore trade, and he's told me that once you get up your rogues with the correct items, it's possible to completely ignore the alert mechanic entirely. Certain rogues have reduced alert gained. You can roll your contracts for alert management, and you can equip gear which reduces like the way the alert builds up. He said that he's got it in a way that he can just loot everything and the alert bar just doesn't even matter. It doesn't even exist. So, that may be intended, that might not be intended. It seems a little bit extreme that you can go from being super restricted to not having to worry about it at all. If that is the intended behavior, maybe the alert bar should scale differently, so at lower rogue levels, so you have access to all this cool stuff, maybe the alert bar should be more forgiving. And then as you start to level up your rogues, and at that point you would assume be equipping all this good gear, maybe then it can get more extreme. Assuming the previous point isn't intended, and you're not meant to completely cheese the alert system, I do think that changing how the alert system changes in some function, instead of it mostly filling up from killing enemies, would make for a positive change. Currently, the main way that I do it is I ignore all the enemies. I'm playing a build with AoE blind, acro phase, acro wind dancer, so I'm very evasion heavy. I just run around, get my rogues to open all doors, I click all the loot, I kite the mobs so they don't interrupt my rogues, and I don't kill anything till my escape. I don't actually mind this gameplay, but it's definitely not the intended behavior, and it only works because of the way my build functions, being super evasion heavy and AoE blinding everything around me. So yeah, that should probably change. The robot biome. The robot area is by far the most dangerous. It's also the most interesting in the fact that all of the enemies in it are completely passive and you can run all the way to the end without aggroing anything. However, the robot one is the zone which has the hard to spot on death effects, which will kill you. They're incredibly rippy, and they are incredibly hard to see. Whether you like on death effects or not, something needs to change. They need to become far more visible, have a larger delay, or both, so that you can react to them more accordingly, or they should be removed. Knowing GGG, they probably won't remove them, so if they could be more visible and maybe be a more delay focus, kind of like bearers. I feel like bearers is the right way to do those kind of effects. Then that'd be much better. Also, a lot of the enemies in the robot biome have weird hitboxes. This is very noticeable on traps. I don't know how noticeable this is on like name lock melee characters, but for traps it's incredibly noticeable. So these super-sized doggos that patrol backwards and forwards shooting lasers, I think they might be considered as flying, or they have just no proper working hitbox. My traps do not get triggered by them. If you don't know how traps work, you throw traps. When an enemy walks into the trap, it explodes. You have this giant monolith running up and down a corridor. I can throw 20 traps. He can run over them entirely, and none of them trigger. The only way for me to damage them is to lay all my traps, wait for the duration to expire so they trigger by themselves. Definitely cannot be intended behavior. Or a stacking res. I love the fear that comes from unlocking doors and seeing that wall of death waiting for you on the other side. However, this gets really messy when that wall of death includes multiple cannot die mobs. It just shouldn't include cannot die at all. Cannot die is always iffy, but it's especially iffy in very closed encounters with loads and loads of enemies that you have to get through. It just doesn't function well. Remove cannot die from this. Because of the way the aura stacking works, it can also be incredibly rippy. You could maybe limit the amount of rares that stack, maybe shift the balance so you're getting less rare auras instead of getting more uniques, or maybe just get more powerful individual mobs with just less overlapping auras. But anyway, it's just some suggestions. Rogue AI. This is mostly troublesome with demolition missions. The way the demolition missions work is there's a door, they have to run up to the door, place an explosive barrel, and then the character kind of like bugs out a bit. It needs to run a safe distance away. It then drops down a barrier, and then it will explode. If you're stood anywhere near them, they'll often just not move, or they'll just kind of like awkwardly jog around on the spot. If they get body blocked by other things, they will never open the door. This can waste a lot of time, which can be very bad when you've got the alarm ticking down. It can get you killed very easily, and even ignoring the worst case scenarios of it getting you killed and you failing the alarms because of it, it's just not particularly fun. So something needs to be changed with their pathing or their behavior there. On that note, agility animations are far too slow. Before Heist came out, I timed the animations of all of the rogues unlocking things from the press footage. The average was 3 to 5 seconds. This is base, you can equip gear, which makes it faster. Meanwhile, the agility ones were 8 seconds plus. Agility are very noticeably slow. Something should be sped up there. I think one easy way to shrink a couple of seconds off the timer is most of them work by you like click on a vent, they go in a vent, the game like accounts the time it would take for them to go through the vent and then appear on the other side. If they just removed that timer and they just went vent and instantly popped out the other side, yes, it might be slightly less immersive, but it would cut a couple of seconds from the animation, and it'd be one way of speeding it up without it making it look janky, because they're super just like Benny Hilling along the screen. Meanwhile, nearly all other unlocks around 3 seconds by default. By base, yes, this can be scaled. The only other issue I really have with unlocking is some of the safe doors are very dramatic. You'll spend like 2 seconds to unlock them, then wait 2 to 3 seconds to... I would also say the same of the safes unlocking. There are sometimes 2 safes at the far end when you get your artifact. Those are... And it's just, yeah, it's very tedious. I'd probably speed those up. Next up would be unresponsive rogues. This could be a bug, this could be whatever, but I will include it because it's something which should change in some function. When I tell a rogue to open a door, they should abandon all previous actions and run to the door. If there's issues with how that could be coded, maybe they should hard teleport to the door. I don't know. But currently, it's very often, especially with Huck and Tibbs, because they like to attack enemies, that I'll command them to open a door, and they're half a screen away just fighting some white mobs. This is also particularly annoying because I try not to kill any enemies because of the current alert system, but they will kill enemies, which then screws up my alert system. Alright, these are just personal issues. These are things I would like to see changed, but they could stay as is, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I would really like to see these changed. I'd like the Rogue Harbour to be a solo player zone. I'm really not a fan of all the people in here, even once they fix the stash. Having so many people detracts from all the cool NPCs. The cool NPCs kind of get lost in the wave of players. I really do understand, and I kind of like the idea of it being a player hub, is ultimately the players we're all second fiddle to the rogues themselves. We're just disposable fodder yet to prove ourselves worthy to the boss. And it's even implied when you first talk to some of the guys like, oh, we're just one of many, the previous guy died early on. Like, it's kind of written in that we're not that important, which is cool. I like it when we take the backseat and we're just a random adventure. I do generally like that a lot in games. I don't like the whole chosen one, you are special thing. However, the problem with having everyone in here is people have different senses of style. I always go super minimal. You could see my character actually being one of these NPCs. These guys and their giant Pegasuses, yeah, not so much. This is clearly very inspired by John Wick with the whole like marker system and the idea of having this like rogues gallery area. So I just want you to imagine John Wick for a second. So John Wick, he walks into the hotel, there's sexy assassins and thieves everywhere. Except for this time, instead of sexy thieves and assassins drinking at the bar, You've got giant Pegasuses, teleporting things, wings, neon clowns, and dragons sharing martinis. Now, maybe this is a cooler idea. I don't know. Next up, and this is also another thing with the Harbour, I would just build a set of stairs here, or I would extend the pier out. Having these stairs, it just adds extra seconds when entering, which it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but they've made stairs nicer in previous zones before, and this isn't a particularly interesting view. Like, this is nothing new. This little harbour area looks kind of nice. How this stair, we've seen this all before. This isn't anything special. The cool stuff is when you get over to this part of the zone. So this stuff doesn't really add much in terms of visuals. If there were lots of cool boats everywhere, and it felt more like, oh, we're walking past treasure and stuff, or it was like a hidden entrance, sure. But this just isn't interesting terrain, and it just slows us down. Now, finally, these are things that I don't want to see changed about Heist. While there are things that should change, these are things I don't want to see sacrificed to fix those other things. The removal of the contraband system. A lot of people are complaining about the contraband system, and I completely understand it. Now, you need to keep in mind, I've had very few crashes. I've run hundreds of these at this point, and I've crashed maybe 5 times at most. If you're crashing every single one you do, I can completely understand and agree with the frustration, and I completely agree that if constant crashes cannot be fixed, then yes, the contraband system isn't a good match for that. However, while losing loot to crashes and random on-death effect one-shots feels terrible, I really do feel like losing the medium core elements of Heist would seriously dampen the excitement and overall enjoyment of the League content long term. Bugs suck, crashes suck, these are hopefully only short-term problems, it isn't the intended behavior, GGG will do their best to try and fix this out. GGG hasn't designed a system where they intend for you to crash every other one you do. If you're crashing all the ones you do and you can't run them, just store them, save them, and just map, and then play again in a couple of days after hotfix. GGG has been very good the last set of leagues of patching fast and often. Keep that in mind, it should be sorted in not too long. And then the final thing is the challenge. While I have spoken about the on-death effects feeling kind of wonky, the cannot die auras and the crazy rare aura overlaps, I like the challenge of when you see that locked door and you see that wall of death just waiting for you. I don't want that to feel like a joke. I was a big fan of Syndicate in its initial state. I like oppressive leagues. I like leagues that can kill you. Same thing with the Delirium. It's just me as a player. I like the leagues which beat the dirt out of your character. I enjoy those leagues far less after they got nerfed, once they got tuned down. I do think they should remove the cannot die auras. I do think they could maybe touch the rare aura overlapping. But if they over-nerf that system, it will feel terrible long-term. It will feel good short-term while our characters are bad. Once you're fully geared, once you're in the tier 16s, once you're blasting away, once you've power crapped X many leagues, assuming this sticks around, it will then feel like a joke. When was the last time Syndicate was scary? Be honest. It's just a complete waste of a mechanic now. Anyway, I'm Tarke. Have a good day. I'm really enjoying Heist, by the way. Those are my first impressions on the league. Excellent job story, guys. Bye-bye.